I don't see anything special. That doesn't work.
Leonardo? Leonardo de Toledo?
Eladio from Thebes. It's been a long time.
Wow, you have grown old.
Tell me, what are you doing at such a famous abbey?
I'm the doctor and specialist for herbs at the monastery. And who is this boy? Your servant?
I'm not his servant. I'm going to join your order and become a great monk, a very wise one, and a great scholar.
Goodness me, another one who wants to become Pope. How boring.
I must go, Eladio.
All right. Come to the hospital later. We can carry on our conversation then and chat about old times.
Eladio.
Oh, Leonardo, my friend. I've been waiting for you. How was your first day at the Abbey?
Hopefully it will do better tomorrow than it did today.
Is that right? Oh, well. Tomorrow you'll find all the answers, I'm sure of that. The way you always do.
You have to ask the right questions before you get the right answers.
Then ask away while we chat a bit, my friend.
What have you been up to?
Is that what you're talking about? Do you still remember the relaxing teas we used to drink after a hard day's work?
How could I ever forget them?
Then let me tell you that they've gotten that much better with time.
I'm glad to hear that your calling has borne fruits.
Yes, well, part of the fame goes to Martin, our cook. He knows quite a bit about plants too. I've learnt a lot from him. He's very good.
You must tell me everything, every bit to this day.
Though you too, my friend, you too.
Let's begin with you. I'm very curious. What were you up to the whole time? Where were you?
Whatever you say. Where wasn't I? I don't want to bore you with the itinerary of my travels since leaving the seminary.
Yes, I've already heard that you're a man of the world. I've heard about you from third parties, although I myself lost track of you in San Rodrigo.
That was many years ago. Much too many years. We're all getting older, Leonardo. Life at the seminary is very plain and simple, full of illusions and dreams. But later on, life shows you what reality is. It would be better if we talked about you. I've heard many things about the great Leonardo de Toledo.
Not all of them bad, I hope.
Well, but now you tell me, my friend.
I've been to Italy.
I knew it! One must go wherever the heart calls, right? So what? Forget it. I already know everything I wanted to know. But one more thing. Was it worth it?
Some of it, although it's not always good to separate the heart from the mind. Expanding knowledge, bringing the faith where it's needed most. The usual.
The usual? No matter what monastery I stopped at on my travels, your name was always to be heard. The learned scholar Leonardo de Toledo, the great Leonardo de Toledo. Your modesty is to your credit.
I've been the master for my acolyte.
Really? Well, brilliant. When one considers that your novice is about, how old? 13? 12?
14.
Aha! 14. I beg your pardon. That leaves us with quite a few years in which you weren't actively instructing your novice.
Are you still trying to change the world, old friend?
Blessed innocence, right?
Ah, so you don't think that's possible?
How about you?
Anything is possible.
Precisely. That was our motto as altar boys. But we're getting older, my dear friend, and we realize that there are far too many obstacles.
I understand you. Sometimes a monk's life is clearly too hard, with the many temptations around us.
No, that's not it. I'm not talking about temptations. I'm talking about us, the people.
I can see the direction your thoughts are headed towards, Eladio.
It's disappointing to live in times like these, my friend. I hope that future generations will have more favourable opportunities than we had.
It's our duty to pave the way for them, Eladio.
Your duty, Leonardo. You were born for it. I wasn't.
I'm sorry to hear that you've lost your illusions, dear friend. Let's concentrate on the present, my friend.
And that without forgetting the past...
Without forgetting the past, naturally. Could we talk about Anselmo?
Back to work. Isn't that what it's called? Fair enough. We'll talk about Anselmo.
Did you have much contact with Anselmo?
Just the right amount. Sufficient, I'd say. I don't know how to put it. He wasn't exactly the friendliest monk in the whole order.
Anselmo's death arouses several points of suspicion.
What kind of suspicion?
How should I put it? The way he died was...
Strange.
That too, although selective was the word I was searching for.
Selective? I don't get it, my friend.
2 people were underneath the censer when it fell.
Sadly, Anselmo was the one to get hit. The abbot was lucky. Anselmo wasn't.
The abbot thinks the devil has something to do with Anselmo's death.
Stop beating around the bush. Evil is hanging over this abbey. Isn't that so?
Indeed it is. The devil.
Leonardo, you and I have travelled a lot. We've seen enough to know that the world doesn't need the devil to destroy itself. It's a very painful memory, but I had to cross a field full of dead bodies on the way to this monastery. I tried not to tread on amputated limbs and not step into the rivulets of blood. It's a grotesque and indecent spectacle I never hope to see again in my entire life. But believe you me, although the scene out there was worthy of one from hell, the hand of the devil had no part in it. It was mankind alone, man with his absurd wars.
In other words, in your opinion, the devil had nothing to do with Anselmo's death.
That's what I just said, my dear friend. In times like these, we should keep up more of a guard against our neighbours than against Satan himself. And besides, it doesn't make any sense to smash a poor monk's skull with a 200-pound censer, not even for the devil incarnate.
I have no more questions about Anselmo.
I have no more questions about Anselmo. Does that mean you're interrogating me?
You're my friend, but you're also a monk at this abbey. It's nothing personal.
Ah, well, in that case...
Do you know anything about the alleged phantom in the library?
Yes, the majority of the Brotherhood is pretty upset about it.
But you're not.
The only things that upset me are the phantoms people see after chewing on certain plants. Although...
Yes?
Anselmo claimed to have seen him a few times. We're not talking about some ignoramus. Anselmo was a well-educated person. I don't understand why he said those things.
Maybe he really did see him.
Do you think so?
I believe in the power of reason. Sometimes people see things that their minds want to see. Anselmo saw something in the library. Whether it was a ghost or not is of little significance at the moment. Do you have any bitterwood plants here?
Anyway, I have the seeds.
Excellent.
Let's see if it comes back to me again. There they are. Take them, Leonardo. Use as many as you like, but give me back the crock afterwards, all right?
Don't worry. I'll keep an eye on it as if it were yours.
Tell me one thing. Are these seeds for Arcadio?
Yes, they're for him.
I'm saying it because I once wanted to give him a few bitterwort seeds. You know the story, my poor Clotilde so all alone. But it was impossible for me to open the crock.
Why didn't you just give him the whole crock full?
If I can't open it, do you think Arcadio will manage to?
Are you familiar with the so-called hortus tuus?
That's what this is all about. You're going to be the Order's new copyist, right? Oh, yeah.
Not me, Bruno.
He'd better put some effort into it. Marcello is a hard taskmaster.
It looks that way.
Hortus tuus was what you said, wasn't it? Yes, sure I'm familiar with it. Of course I am. That book is good for one thing and one thing only. For the exam to become a copyist.
Is that so bad?
Leonardo, A horror is what it is. Utter nonsense. I'm not surprised that the writer signed his name as anonymous. Any herbologist in the world would have told that author a thing or two.
I must go, Eladio.
What's the hurry?
I must serve the interests of the abbot. Please understand that.
Of course. I was only looking forward to talking some more with you.
We still have time left for that, my dear friend. Don't you worry. Eladio, would it bother you if I took this pan with me?
Which one? Oh, that one. No, take it. I don't think I'll be needing it today. Not as long as the torrential rain doesn't come. Then I'd need it for the holes in the roof.
Let's hope it doesn't. The cork plug covered by a barely visible wax layer seals the crock well, shielding the contents from humidity and the passing of time. It would be much simpler to break the plug, but I have to give the crock back to Eladio in one piece. Brother?
Listen well, brother. I ask you to please conclude your investigation as rapidly as possible, because I'm not going to tolerate things like this at my abbey any longer. Was that sufficiently clear?
May I remind you that I stand under the abbot's command?
As do I. That's why I'm telling you.
Brother?
Listen well, brother. I ask you to please...
May I remind...
As...
I can admire the great work of art from here. I can admire the great work of art. Saint Torquato, a bishop and martyr from the 1st century. This church is dedicated to him. He was a famous missionary. I thought the breaks from work would be spent in the cells. The barrels there are full of wine. That reminds me of the night we spent in the monastery of San Crispin on the way here. The abbot told me that the best wine in the region came from there.
Ha! Where? What? What time is it? I have to ring for Tessia prayers.
Forgive me for interrupting you, brother.
Oh, none other than our special guest. You're not interrupting me, Brother Leonardo. My name is Martin, and as you can see, I'm the cook. How can I help you?
The soup you're cooking there smells, if you'll pardon me, heavenly.
Really?
Yes, I see that you're adding chicken bones and some spices. Not everyone takes so much trouble with such a simple dish as soup.
Could be, but I do. And by the way, in this case, I must share the compliment with Brother Eladio. He supplies me with the spices.
The appearance and aroma are incomparable.
I see you appreciate good cooking.
What shall I say? I've travelled quite a bit.
It's a pleasure to talk with a connoisseur.
That's kind, but connoisseur would be a mouthful.
Oh, don't be so modest, brother. You recognized a decent soup by its fragrance. I presume that you're able to sniff out the spices that were used, too.
Saffron?
Saffron? No, brother. Take a good look at the color, then you'll realize your mistake. One can tell you're no plant expert.
My sense of smell is not up to snuff today.
Really?
Can we talk about Anselmo, brother?
Anselmo? Oh, blessed Mother of God. Salve Regina, Mater Misericordiae, vita dulcedo et spes nostra salve. Ad te clamamus exsulses filii Hevae, ad te suspirarnos, gementes et fientes, in hac lacrimarum valle.
So that we are worthy of receiving Christ's promise.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother. It's never wrong to appeal to our Virgin to shield us from evil, especially in these days of ours.
Perfectly understandable, brother. But it is my intention to fulfill the task the abbot entrusted me with, and that as quickly as possible, especially in these days of ours.
Yes, of course.
A somewhat delicate question. Do you think that a brother could have anything to do with the gatekeeper's death?
That's impossible. The brothers are all different, but we're here for the same reasons. One of those is respect for one another, and the other is our dedication to God and His teachings. He has taught us to value life, both ours and that of our neighbors. How could a monk do such a terrible thing?
It's rumored that the devil had something to do with Anselmo's death. What's your opinion?
Speak softly, brother. Speak softly.
What's wrong?
Try not to mention the devil. That might lure him here.
Here? To the Abbey?
No, into the kitchen. The devil already abides within these walls. The signs are clear, and Anselmo's death is a good example of that.
I see you're very sure of yourself.
I believe firmly that it's so. Just as I believe we must be prepared to confront the forces of evil face to face. I thank God that you're here. You'll take care of it, won't you?
Not a demon exists that can resist me.
I feel much calmer now.
Do you know all the details surrounding Anselmo's death?
Unfortunately, yes. I wouldn't have thought that such a beautiful and costly gift would bring misfortune to our abbey.
That's all for the moment. Tell me about the phantom in the library.
It exists.
Gracious me. You obviously don't have the slightest doubt about that.
Several brothers have seen it.
Have you seen it, Brother Martin?
No. Perish forbid. I don't think my heart could stand the sight of a soul that's been damned like an infidel to walk the earth in perpetuity because it cast away the gift of life.
Which brothers claim to have seen it?
I think poor Anselmo was the first one. Then it was Gottfried. Then Egidio. Oh, hang on. I believe Gottfried didn't see it directly. He only heard him. And Egidio? No, I don't think it was him. It was Marcello, if memory serves me.
That means I'm not going to find anyone at this abbey who has ever had a direct encounter with the phantom.
Perish forbid, but it exists! And if I were you, I wouldn't try to leave your chamber tonight. Brother Eustachio might not content himself with spreading his malignance only around the library.
His malignance? I wasn't aware that the phantom had done anything evil.
Brother, his very existence is an indignity and contrary to nature. Someone capable of committing suicide while alive can do much worse things when they're dead.
Indeed. No one can commit suicide when they're already dead. Tell me something about the phantom.
According to what we brothers have found out, the wild sounds at night are being caused by Brother Eustachio, an age-old monk who spent a great deal of time in charge at the library.
When exactly was that?
I don't remember anymore, but it could have been 3 or 4 generations ago.
And why should Brother Eustachio be the perfect candidate for the phantom of the library?
Well, first of all, it was rumored that he practiced the dark arts. And then, because of the horrible, unacceptable way that he died, he committed suicide. Lord have mercy! Save us from all those who turn.
No, thank you, brother. Later, perhaps. Let's talk about more earthly things.
Amen.
I must go. Perhaps we can continue our conversation later.
I'd be delighted to get on with it, Brother Leonardo.
No need to fan a fire here. And besides, I've got the impression that it's broken.